The breaking point. The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the Earth Defense Force Command Station, watching the first light of dawn creep across North America. The holographic notification pulsed an angry red in her peripheral vision, demanding attention with an urgency that made her stomach tighten. "Display message," she commanded, her voice steady despite the tension building in her chest. The Drachnid Collective's insignia materialized before her, a spiral of stars wrapped around a central eye, beautiful and menacing in equal measure. High Executor Vance's face filled the projection. His crystalline features caught the light in ways that still unsettled her, even after years of diplomatic exchanges. "Admiral Chen," he began, his translated voice carrying artificial warmth, "the Collective has reached its decision. You have 24 hours to surrender Earth's quantum computing facilities and cease all research into fold space technology. Failure to comply will result in immediate military action." Sarah's jaw tightened. The Collective had been pressing this demand for months, growing increasingly aggressive with each refusal. They claimed humanity wasn't ready for such advanced technology, that it would destabilize the careful balance of power in the galaxy. But Sarah knew better. They were afraid. "Have you received confirmation from all 47 members of the Collective Council?" she asked, buying time while the station's eye ran deeper analysis on the transmission. Vance's features hardened. "This is not a negotiation, Admiral. The decision is final." "I see." Sarah turned to face the projection fully. "Then I should inform you that Earth unanimously rejects your demands. We will not surrender technologies we developed independently, nor will we halt progress to appease the Collective's fears. You mistake fear for wisdom, Admiral." Vance's crystalline structure flickered with pulses of deep red. "Humanity is young, reckless. You don't understand the responsibilities that come with such power." "Perhaps," Sarah replied. "It's the Collective that doesn't understand humanity." The transmission cut off abruptly. Sarah waited 3 heartbeats before activating her neural link. "General Quarters. This is not a drill. Implement Damascus Protocol immediately." Alarms blared throughout the station as personnel rushed to battle stations. But Sarah remained still, watching Earth rotate slowly below. She thought about the years of preparation, the countless simulations, the sleepless nights spent planning for this moment. The Collective thought they were dealing with a primitive species that had gotten lucky with a few technological breakthroughs. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Admiral," her AI assistant AI materialized beside her, taking the form of a shower of blue sparks. "The Collective is mobilizing. Long-range sensors detect multiple fold space ruptures forming at the edge of the solar system." "How many ships?" "Initial count suggests over 3,000 capital vessels, with support craft still emerging." Sarah nodded. It was almost exactly what their intelligence had predicted. "And our countermeasures? Operation Lighthouse is ready for implementation. Dr. Patel reports that the quantum interference grid is at full capacity. All Earth Defense Force ships are at combat stations, and the colony defense forces on Mars and Europa are standing by." "Good." Sarah straightened her uniform and turned toward the command center. "Send word to all commands. Initiative Case Omega is now active. Authorization, Chen Alpha 709. As she walked through the bustling command center, Sarah felt a strange calm settle over her. The Collective thought they were bringing overwhelming force to bear against a stubborn but ultimately inferior opponent. They had no idea that humanity had been preparing for this moment since they first detected the Collective's ships approaching Earth 15 years ago. "Message from Dr. Patel," Araya announced. "The quantum resonance trap is primed and ready. She says to give them hell, Admiral." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Maya Patel's brilliance had given humanity a fighting chance. The quantum resonance trap was unlike anything the Collective had ever encountered, a weapon that turned their own fold space technology against them. But it was only part of the surprise humanity had in store. Status of the Ghost Fleet, Sarah asked, taking her position at the command station. All ships in position and running silent. Quantum signatures masked. The collective sensors won't detect them until it's too late. The first wave of collective ships would arrive in less than an hour. They would expect to find Earth scrambling to mount a defense, perhaps making a desperate last stand. Instead, they would find themselves caught in humanity's carefully laid trap. Send one final message to the collective, Sarah ordered. Text only. Keep it simple. She dictated. To High Executor Vanth and the Collective Council. You should have asked yourselves why we never seemed afraid. Initiating Operation Damascus. As the message transmitted, Sarah watched the tactical display light up with thousands of incoming hostile signatures. The collective had committed their forces exactly as predicted, falling into formation for a standard overwhelming force assault. They had no way of knowing that every aspect of their attack had been anticipated and planned for years in advance. All commands, this is Admiral Chen. Her voice carried across every Earth Defense Force channel, reaching ships and stations throughout the solar system. The moment we've prepared for has arrived. Remember your training. Remember what we fight for. The collective thinks they know humanity's capabilities. Today, we show them how wrong they are. Chen out. The countdown to contact ticked away on her display. Humanity's greatest test was about to begin, and Sarah Chen intended to make sure they passed it with flying colors. Silent thunder. The void between Mars and Jupiter erupted with light as the first wave of collective ships tore through fold space. Their massive forms cast long shadows across the asteroid belt, a forest of crystalline spires and geometric shapes that defied human architectural sensibilities. But Admiral Chen wasn't watching the display of power. Her eyes were fixed on a different set of readings. Quantum resonance levels are optimal, HFY reported. Dr. Patel's calculations were perfect. They have no idea their fold space signatures are being mirrored. Sarah nodded, watching the collective fleet arrange itself into an attack formation. The enemy ships moved with practiced precision, their formations following tactical doctrines developed over thousands of years. It was impressive, she had to admit. It was also predictable. Ghost fleet status. All ships maintaining quantum silence. The collective sensors still show only our defensive platforms and the home fleet. Araya's spark form pulsed with anticipation. They believe they're facing less than 100 capital ships. The truth was far different. Scattered throughout the asteroid belt, hidden behind quantum masking fields that Dr. Patel had developed, were over 500 Earth ships. They weren't as large as the collective's massive vessels, but they didn't need to be. What they lacked in size, they made up for in innovation. Message from High Executor Vanth. Araya announced. Text only. Your defiance is noted, Admiral. Your bravery is admirable but misplaced. Surrender now, and we will spare your civilian populations. Sarah's response was to activate her neural link to the fleet-wide command channel. All ships, Operation Ghost Echo is now active. Remember your training. Hit and fade, just like we practiced. Show them what humanity can do. The response was immediate. Throughout the asteroid belt, Earth ships dropped their quantum masks. The collective's sensor networks lit up with hundreds of new contacts appearing seemingly out of nowhere. But before they could react, the human ships launched their first strike. Quantum torpedoes, weapons that existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously, streaked across space. The collective's shields, designed to stop conventional weapons, proved nearly useless against attacks that technically existed in several places at once. Explosions bloomed across their fleet as the first salvos found their marks. Multiple direct hits, Araya reported. Collective ships are attempting to reposition, but the quantum resonance trap is affecting their maneuverability. Their fold space drives are becoming increasingly unstable. This was the true genius of Dr. Patel's work. Every time the collective ships attempted to use their advanced fold space technology, the quantum resonance trap duplicated and reflected their own energy signatures back at them, creating a cascading effect that made their most powerful systems dangerous to use. Collective Fleet is launching fighters, Araya announced, detecting over 10,000 small craft deployment. Execute Phase 2, Sarah ordered. Deploy the drones. From Earth's defensive platforms, swarms of autonomous drones launched into space. They were smaller than the collective fighters, and on paper, they appeared far less sophisticated. But these drones contained humanity's latest advancement in artificial intelligence, combined with quantum-entangled processing cores that allowed them to react and adapt at speeds no organic pilot could match. The space between the fleets became a deadly dance of light and shadow as drones and fighters engage. The collective pilots were experienced, their tactics honed over centuries of warfare. But they had never faced opponents that could predict their movements microseconds in advance, that could coordinate across vast distances instantly through quantum entanglement. Collective capital ships are attempting to establish a defensive perimeter, Araya reported. They're trying to consolidate their formation. Perfect. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Signal the Kuiper belt batteries. Time to show them our longest-range surprise. At the edges of the solar system, massive rail guns that had been disguised as mining operations powered up. They had been carefully positioned years ago, waiting for this moment. Each one fired projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed, their trajectories calculated to thread through the gaps in their own fleet's formation. The collective ships, already struggling with the quantum resonance trap and the swarm tactics of Earth's fleet, never saw the relativistic kill shots coming. The impacts were devastating, turning several of their largest vessels into expanding clouds of debris. Multiple collective ships are attempting emergency fold space jumps, Araya reported. The quantum resonance trap is... Oh my. Sarah watched as ships trying to escape instead tore themselves apart, their fold space fields collapsing in ways their designers had never anticipated. The trap wasn't just preventing them from escaping. It was making their own technology lethal to use. Message from Captain Rivera on the Ghost Fleet flagship, Araya announced. The Collected's formation is breaking up. Their coordination is failing. Send to all commands, Sarah ordered. Press the advantage. Don't let them regroup. Show them what happens when they underestimate humanity. The battle continued to unfold across the solar system, but the outcome was becoming clear. The collective had arrived expecting to find a primitive species making its first stumbling steps into advanced technology. Instead, they found an opponent who had spent years preparing specifically to counter their greatest advantages. As she watched the tactical displays, Sarah thought about the long years of preparation, the countless sacrifices made to reach this point. The collective had threatened humanity with extinction, believing they faced an inferior species. Now they were learning just how expensive that mistake would be. Admiral. Araya's voice carried a note of satisfaction. High Executor Vanth is requesting emergency communications. Put him through, Sarah said, straightening her uniform. Let's hear what the collective has to say now. The human factor. Dr. Maya Patel stood in her laboratory deep beneath the Himalayan mountains, watching streams of quantum data flow across her holographic displays. Her creation, the quantum resonance trap, was performing beyond even her most optimistic projections. But something in the data caught her attention, a pattern she hadn't anticipated. Araya. Connect me to Admiral Chen, she said, her fingers dancing through the holographic interface. Priority channel. Sarah Chen's hologram materialized instantly. Dr. Patel, what have you found? The collected ships, they're adapting. Maya highlighted a series of quantum signatures. Their fold space drives are attempting to shift frequencies to escape the resonance trap. They're doing it faster than we predicted. Can they break free? Maya shook her head. No, but that's not what concerns me. Look at these patterns. These adaptations, they're not coming from their central command. Individual ships are making these attempts independently. Sarah's expression hardened. You're saying they're thinking for themselves, breaking from standard collective protocol. Exactly. The collective maintains power through absolute technological control over their member species. But our trap isn't just disrupting their ships. It's forcing them to innovate, to think independently. Maya's eyes gleamed with the excitement of discovery. We're not just winning the battle, Admiral. We're breaking their entire power structure. The implications were staggering. The collective had maintained its dominance for millennia by keeping its member species dependent on centrally controlled technology. Now, faced with a threat their leaders couldn't counter, individual ships and commanders were being forced to adapt on their own. Multiple collective ships are requesting direct communication, Araya reported, her spark form appearing simultaneously in both locations. They're bypassing their chain of command. Put them through, Sarah ordered. But maintain weapons lock. The command center's holographic space filled with multiple alien faces, ship commanders from different species within the collective. Their voices overlapped in a cascade of translated demands and questions. The High Council has led us into disaster. We demand to know how you developed this technology. Our ship is willing to stand down if... Sarah raised a hand, silencing the chaos. Your leaders threatened Earth with extinction if we didn't surrender our technological independence. Now you see why we refused. The collective doesn't fear our technology. They fear what it represents. Freedom to innovate. Freedom to grow. Maya watched the aliens' reactions through her own holographic feed. She saw confusion, fear, but also something else. Recognition. These beings had lived under the collective's technological and political control for so long, they'd forgotten what it meant to truly advance. Dr. Patel, Sarah turned to her. Can you explain to them exactly what our quantum resonance trap is doing to their ships? In terms they'll understand. Maya stepped forward, her hologram moving to the center of the display. Your fold space drives are magnificent achievements, she began. But they're built on principles the collective established centuries ago. They haven't evolved. Our trap works because we approached the same technology from a completely different perspective. We had to innovate because we had no choice. The alien commanders listened intently as Maya explained the principles behind her invention. She could see the moment understanding dawned in their varied features. The trap wasn't just a weapon. It was proof that there were other ways to approach problems the collective had declared solved. Multiple collective ships are powering down weapons, Araya reported, receiving surrender signals. The fleet is fragmenting. Sarah nodded. Order our forces to hold position but maintain combat readiness. Maya, what's the status of the quantum field? Stable and expanding. Any ship that tries to flee through fold space will still face the resonance effect. Maya paused, studying new data streams. Admiral, I'm detecting unusual quantum signatures from the High Executor's ship. They're attempting something desperate. The massive flagship of the collective fleet had begun to pulse with energy, its crystalline structure vibrating at frequencies that made the quantum sensors spike. High Executor Vance's voice boomed across all channels. You think you understand power. His translated voice carried equal parts rage and fear. The collective maintains order. Without us, the galaxy will descend into chaos. We will not allow. His transmission cut off as his ship's energy signatures went critical. The quantum resonance effect had amplified their desperate attempt to break free, creating a cascading reaction in their power systems. All ships, emergency evasive action. Sarah's command cut across all channels. Brace for quantum shockwave. Maya watched in horror as the flagship's crystalline structure shattered, releasing a wave of quantum energy that rippled through space. But even as the shockwave approached, her mind was racing, seeing patterns in the chaos. This wasn't just destruction, it was data. The death throes of the collective's flagship were revealing secrets about their technology that could advance human understanding by decades. Araya, are you recording all of this? She asked. Every quantum fluctuation. Dr. Patel, the data streams are extraordinary. The shockwave passed through the human fleet, but their ships, designed with multiple redundant systems and quantum shielding, weathered it far better than the remaining collective vessels. In its wake, the balance of power had shifted irreversibly. "Admiral," Maya called out, "we need to act quickly. The collected ships are in disarray, but they're also more open to new ideas than they've been in centuries. We have an opportunity here, not just to win a battle, but to reshape the galaxy's future." Sarah nodded, understanding immediately. "You're thinking we should offer them something the collective never did, the freedom to develop their own technology, combined with the opportunity to work with us as equals." "Exactly. We show them that innovation doesn't have to mean chaos, that progress doesn't have to be controlled from above." Maya's eyes shone with possibility. "We show them the human way." Echoes of resistance. The red sands of Mars swirled around the towering arcology domes as Governor Rodrigo Mendoza watched the quantum communication feed from Earth. The battle in the inner solar system had triggered exactly what they'd been waiting for: chaos and confusion in the outer colonies of the collective. Europa Station reports successful takeover of the collective's ice mining facilities, his AI assistant reported. The alien workers are requesting asylum. They're offering technical knowledge in exchange for protection. Rodrigo smiled. Years of living on the frontier of human space had taught Mars colonists to be resourceful. While Earth handled the main battle, the colonies had their own role to play. "Tell them asylum granted. And contact Dr. Patel's team. We'll need them to verify any technical data we receive." Above Mars, the quantum sensors detected multiple ships dropping out of fold space, remnants of the collective fleet trying to escape the disaster in the inner system. But they weren't finding the safe haven they expected. Instead, they encountered a Mars defense force that had been preparing for this moment for years. "Governor," his tactical officer called out, "the collective ships are broadcasting surrender signals. Their crews are requesting." "This is interesting. They're requesting permission to land and share technology." "More defectors," Rodrigo mused. "They're breaking faster than we anticipated. Contact Admiral Chen. Tell her Phase 4 of Operation Damascus is proceeding ahead of schedule." The Mars Defense Force ships moved to escort the surrendering vessels to designated landing zones. As they did, Rodrigo received a priority transmission from Europa. Dr. Patel's hologram appeared, her expression excited. "Governor, the asylum seekers from the ice mines, they've provided something extraordinary. Specifications for the collective's quantum communication network. With this, we can broadcast the truth about what's happening directly to every collective world and outpost." Rodrigo leaned forward. "Can you verify the data?" "Already done. But there's more." Maya's hologram flickered as she gestured to unseen displays. "These specifications show signs of human influence, technology that looks like it was reverse-engineered from Earth designs from decades ago. Governor, I don't think this is the first time the collective has encountered humanity." The implications were staggering. "Contact Admiral Chen immediately. This could change everything." On Earth, Sarah Chen received the transmission while coordinating the cleanup of the main battle. The quantum resonance trap had worked better than anyone had dreamed, not just defeating the collective's fleet, but causing their entire command structure to unravel. "Analysis of the data from Mars confirms it," Araya reported. "The collective has been studying Earth for at least a century. They didn't just fear our potential. They recognized it. They'd been secretly adapting our innovations while publicly denouncing us as primitive." Sarah's expression hardened. "And now their own people are learning the truth. No wonder they were so desperate to stop us from developing fold space technology. They knew we'd eventually discover their deception." The tactical displays showed more collective ships arriving at Mars, Europa, and even the distant colonies of Titan and Ganymede. But these weren't warships. They were civilian vessels, science ships, and trading crafts, all seeking asylum and bringing with them centuries of suppressed innovations and technical knowledge. "Message from the Martian surface," Araya announced. "The first joint human-alien research team has been established. They're already working on integrating collective crystal technology with our quantum systems." This was humanity's true victory, not just surviving the collective's attack, but catalyzing a technological and social revolution that was spreading through their empire. The rigid control that had maintained their power for millennia was crumbling in the face of human adaptability and openness to change. Admiral, Maya's voice cut in through a priority channel. The data from Mars. It suggests the collective didn't just study us. They found something on Earth, something that scared them enough to suppress their own development rather than risk us discovering it. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. What kind of discovery? We're still piecing it together, but the asylum seekers are talking about ancient ruins, technology that predates the collective itself, and somehow it's connected to Earth's past. The tactical display suddenly lit up with new contacts. A massive fleet of ships was emerging from fold space at the edge of the solar system. But these weren't collective designs. They were completely unknown. New transmission, Araya reported. It's being broadcast on frequencies we've never seen before, but, Admiral, we can understand it. The language patterns match ancient Earth languages, Sanskrit, specifically. Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. The collective's desperate attack, their fear of human development, the ancient connection to Earth, it was all pointing to something bigger than a simple political conflict. Send word to all commands, she ordered. Maintain defensive positions, but do not fire unless fired upon. And get me Dr. Patel and Governor Mendoza. I think we're about to discover why the collective was really so afraid of humanity. As the unknown fleet approached, carrying with it answers to questions humanity hadn't even known to ask, Sarah Chen realized that the war with the collective hadn't just been about survival or independence. It had been the key to unlocking humanity's true place in the galaxy, and perhaps its destiny. Dawn of recognition. The unknown fleet hung in space, like a constellation of impossible geometry, their ships unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. Yet somehow, they felt familiar. The Sanskrit transmissions continued, growing stronger as the vessels approached. In the command center, Admiral Chen stood with Dr. Maya Patel and a hologram of Governor Mendoza as they watched the fleet's approach. The quantum resonance sensors were detecting energy signatures that defied their understanding, not just advanced, but fundamentally different from both human and collective technology. Translation complete, Araya announced. The message is, Admiral, you need to hear this. A voice filled the command center, speaking in perfectly accented English. Children of Earth, we have watched and waited. The trial is complete. You have proven yourselves worthy of your inheritance. Maya's hands flew across her holographic interface. These energy signatures, they're similar to patterns we found in geological formations on Earth, patterns we always assumed were natural. They're not just similar, a new voice added. High Executor Vanth appeared on a secondary display. He had survived his ship's destruction, rescued by one of the defecting vessels. They are identical. Now you understand why the collective feared you so much. You are the descendants of the precursors. Sarah's mind raced. The precursors, a civilization so advanced they had transcended physical form, leaving behind only myths and fragments of their technology. The collective had built their empire on carefully controlled fragments of precursor tech, but Earth had been a repository of their legacy. The quantum resonance trap, Maya whispered. I didn't invent it. I rediscovered it. The principles were encoded in our very DNA, waiting to be unlocked. The lead ship of the unknown fleet transmitted again. The collective found traces of our existence on Earth centuries ago. They recognized the potential within humanity's genetic code, the ability to understand and advance technology in ways they could not. Rather than risk your natural development, they chose suppression. But they failed. Governor Mendoza's hologram added. Every attempt to control humanity only pushed us to innovate further. A final test, Vanth said, his crystalline features reflecting distant starlight. The collective's attack was the final trial, not just of your military capability, but of your potential for growth, for change, for teaching others to grow as well. The precursor ships moved closer, their impossible geometries resolving into forms that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. You did not merely survive the trial, the voice continued. You exceeded it. When faced with an overwhelming enemy, you did not seek mere victory. You sought understanding. When given power over your opponents, you offered cooperation instead of dominance. Sarah stepped forward. You're saying humanity's development wasn't random. That Earth itself was what? An experiment. A sanctuary, the voice corrected. A place where we seeded the potential for our successors. The collective feared you would become like us. They were right to fear, but wrong to resist. Humanity's path was always meant to lead to this moment. Displays throughout the command center lit up as the precursor ships began transmitting data. Vast archives of knowledge and technology that had been hidden throughout the solar system, waiting for humanity to prove itself ready. This is incredible, Maya breathed, watching the data flow. The principles behind their technology. It's like they thought in quantum mechanics the way we think in simple mathematics. But I can understand it. We all can. Because you were meant to, Vance said. The collective spent millennia trying to comprehend precursor technology, but we could only imitate, never innovate. Humanity has the capacity to truly understand, to build upon it, to teach others. Sarah turned to the tactical display, where hundreds of collective ships now hung in space alongside human vessels. The barriers between them were already breaking down as crews worked together, sharing knowledge and technology. So what happens now? She asked. The precursor voice carried a note of what might have been pride. Now you take your place among the stars, not as conquerors or controllers, but as teachers, innovators, explorers. The collective's time is ending. A new age begins, one of cooperation, of shared discovery, of unlimited potential. Throughout the solar system, on Earth, Mars, and every human colony, people watched and listened as humanity's true heritage was revealed. The quantum resonance network carried the message to every collective world as well, announcing not just the end of their dominance, but the beginning of something greater. Admiral, Aria's voice cut through the moment. We're receiving transmissions from across the galaxy. Collective worlds are declaring independence, requesting human assistance in developing their own technology. They want to learn our way of thinking, our approach to innovation. Sarah Chen looked out at the assembled fleets, human, collective, and precursor, and felt the weight of the moment. Humanity had not just survived. They had unlocked a destiny greater than anyone had imagined. The galaxy was transforming, and Earth would lead the way not through force or control, but through humanity's greatest strengths: adaptation, innovation, and the desire to understand. Send word to all commands, she ordered. The war is over. Operation Damascus is complete, but our real work is just beginning. As the precursor ships took up formation around Earth, their impossible geometries a reminder of how far humanity still had to go, Sarah thought about the long journey ahead. The collective had tried to prevent humanity's rise out of fear. Now that same power would be used to lift up countless species, to teach them to think and grow and innovate for themselves. The dawn of a new age had arrived, and humanity would face it as they had faced every challenge, with determination, creativity, and the unshakable belief that the impossible was just another problem waiting to be solved.